Hello guys, and welcome to another video. And if you watched my last video, you would have seen that my first League Start character, the Flamewood Chieftain, that character unfortunately died. So I had to reroll, and I rerolled a Righteous Fire Chieftain. Now I do think that Juggernaut is still the better build for Righteous Fire. Overall, it just has the better ascendancy for it. The AoE and the tankiness is really nice. But I really wanted to try the Chieftain's Hinekora Death's Fury notable. That's the notable that provides the explosion chance for a giant hit of fire damage, even if the chance is a little bit low. And I've got to say that I think Hinekora might just be my new favourite ascendancy passive. It is incredibly satisfying when this thing goes off. There's just giant explosions that wipe out everything in its radius. You'll be able to see that happening in the background footage. And the radius for this notable is way bigger than the normal explode mods. So even though the chance is low, its impact is massive when it does proc. It just wipes out everything in the radius. And it's a lot more noticeable than I thought it would be. And so far, I have to say I'm really enjoying this notable. Since it's raw fire damage, it can of course ignite. And for that, you're going to need base ignite, non-specific ignite chance. You can find a lot of that on the passive tree. There's 15% on the Divine Judgment wheel, and another 10% on the Holy Dominion notable. Those are near the Templar start location. And there's 20% on the Holy Fire wheel next to Zealot's Oath, and a further 30% on the Breath of Flames wheel at the top of the passive tree, and another 30% on the Searing Heat wheel, which is close to that one over to the right. And those are most of the Ignite chance passives that you'll probably be close enough to reach if you're going for a Righteous Fire build, or maybe some kind of Ignite spell-based build. The Searing Heat wheel might be a bit of a stretch for that. There's also Flammability, of course, which provides some additional Ignite chance, and some gear modifiers like the Betrayal Craft for fire damage and Ignite chance. But the explosion from Hinekora can provide a very powerful Ignite. I've already had a bunch of essence mobs where I've just broken them out, and then one of the smaller mobs that joins the rare, well, that's exploded and just wiped out the rare with a giant ignite. Anytime a tanky mob or a boss is joined by adds, there's the chance that you just hit the explosion on one of those small mobs and the tanky mob just evaporates. It's really satisfying when it goes off. And to be honest, so far I haven't really had much of an issue with the proc chance. Even as low as 5%, it's enough to consistently provide an enjoyable mapping experience. Because as I mentioned, when it does proc, the explosion really does just wipe out everything in its radius. It's such a huge explosion. One thing I will mention is the possibility of using this notable with either Vow Breach or the Writhing Jar unique flask. Vow Breach is a Vow skill gem that creates a breach with monsters just flooding out. And dropping this on top of a boss and potentially exploding a bunch of those mobs creates an interesting option for bossing. While the Writhing Jar unique flask, which spawns 2 worms with each use. Obviously, this is a bit of a meme because the chance of proccing it is so low with just 2 worms on each use, but the worms have about 25,000 HP in a level 83 zone. So the explosion itself would deal around 125,000 fire damage, and it would cause an ignite that deals about 112,000 damage per second as a baseline. This is obviously scaled by generic damage modifiers like fire damage, fire.multi and other things like that, but I think you could quite easily get this ignite to deal 1 million or more damage per second. So it can be quite significant, and you can see why mobs just get wiped out by this whenever an ignite is caused by one of these explosions. And the damage from this explosion could be quite significant for a build which isn't really focused on ignite, for example like an RF build, which gets the ignite from Fire Trap, but it won't be as big as the one coming in from an explosion like this. Anyway, if you were on the fence about Hinekora, or perhaps you thought it was really bad, I definitely recommend trying it out. It's a lot of fun, and it's probably my new favourite ascendancy notable now. At the very least, it's the most fun for me. In other news, GGG have now patched out a lot of the bugs, including the bugged interaction with the Flamewood support gem checking for accuracy, that's gone. And they've also made a ton of improvements to the League mechanic, which I've been playing a little bit and it feels a lot more rewarding now, so that's great. I'll probably have a video up about that soon. Have you tried the new Chieftain? And have you been using the Hinekora notable? Let me know what you think about it in the comments section below. And thank you to my channel members for your continued support. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.